Les, it's good to see you again. Number one, attribute to winning with our customers. We have customers from large multinationals through middle market clients in the firm, tens of thousands of them, and we work hard with them to win their business, and the team under Matthew Coder did a good job of winning that business. So it was a good quarter, the highest non-pandemic related quarter we've had, and across all the regions and across all the different types of revenue, we felt very good about it. The pipeline is full. Our customers are active. They're looking at deals, and the momentum has been building for a good while here. And I think now with the probability of deals getting done, the financing markets generally open up, we feel very good about the pipeline.
Every few years, a question appears that divides investors into two groups: those who see the future and those who dismiss it until it's too late. Right now, that question is simple. Will 10,000 XRP really change your life? For some, it sounds ridiculous. 1,000 coins that today might not even buy a used iPhone. For others, it's a life-changing opportunity hiding in plain sight. The truth lies somewhere in between. Because the answer doesn't depend on magic. It depends on math, timing, and conviction. Welcome back to Crypto Equation, where we cut through the hype and uncover the real signals shaping the next financial transformation. Before we talk about life-changing money, let's put things into perspective. At today's prices, 1,000 XRP might be worth just a few hundred. It doesn't feel like much. But remember, that's what people said about Bitcoin in 2012. That's what they said about Amazon stock in 2001. The truth is, every major technological shift starts small. The early phase always looks boring because during that phase, foundations are being built, not headlines. That's exactly where XRP is right now. Most people don't realize it, but Ripple has already done what few companies ever achieve in crypto. It survived time, regulation, and silence. While other projects came and went, Ripple kept building, expanding on-demand liquidity, ODL, to more than 70 countries, partnering with central banks and financial institutions worldwide, achieving legal clarity that most of the market still dreams of. And here's the crucial point. All of that infrastructure is preparing for a system that hasn't even gone mainstream yet, the tokenized global financial network. That's where the story of your 1,000 XRP truly begins. To understand what 1,000 XRP could mean by 2030, you have to see what's being built behind the scenes. Ripple isn't chasing hype coins or NFT trends, they're rebuilding the plumbing of global finance, the hidden rails that move trillions every single day. The old system, SWIFT, correspondent banks, delayed settlements. It's slow, costly, and outdated. The new system ISO 2022 instant messaging, tokenized assets demands liquidity that can move across borders in seconds. That liquidity bridge is XRP. And once the world finishes building around it, every transaction that touches those rails will indirectly depend on its speed and efficiency. That's not fantasy, that's infrastructure. So let's play with some realistic math. If XRP ever reached $10, your 1,000 coins would be worth $10,000. At $50, that's $10,000, $50,000. At $100, it's $100,000. Those numbers might sound bold, but they're not arbitrary. They're based on liquidity demand, not speculation. If even a tiny percentage of global cross-border settlements, say 1% of $150 trillion a year, required XRP as bridge liquidity, the demand pressure alone could drive price discovery far beyond where we are now. And remember, Ripple's system doesn't require everyone to hold XRP. It just needs enough transactional volume for XRP to become indispensable. Once that happens, utility takes over and price stops being emotional. It becomes mathematical. Now let's talk about time. Warren Buffett once said, "The market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." That couldn't be more true for XRP because the next few years won't be about hype. They'll be about quiet adoption. Ripple isn't going to announce massive gains. They'll just keep signing deals, connecting banks, and scaling corridors until one day the switch flips, and the system everyone ignored becomes the new standard. When that moment comes, 1,000 XRP won't feel small anymore. It'll feel like foresight. But let's keep things honest. Not everyone holding 1,000 XRP will be changed by it. Because it's not just the number of coins that matters, it's the mindset behind them. If you're expecting to wake up rich overnight, this journey will break you. If you understand that true wealth comes from timing, patience, and holding through noise, this could become one of the most defining decisions of your financial life. The people who make it through aren't the loudest. They're the calmest. They don't check the chart every hour. They watch the world evolve around them and know exactly what they hold. That's what conviction looks like. Here's what most people miss. XRP isn't designed to make you rich. It's designed to make the financial system efficient. But when a system becomes global infrastructure, the people who owned part of it early don't just benefit. They transform because they understood the value before everyone else. They believed before the proof was obvious. They saw the future not through price but through purpose. That's how generational wealth has always been built, not by chasing hype, but by recognizing inevitability. To put that into perspective, think about early Visa investors. When Visa first launched, it wasn't glamorous. It was a back-end payments processor. Boring, technical, unseen. But over time, every transaction in the world began touching its rails. The early believers didn't just profit, they became part of financial history. That's the scale Ripple is chasing. And XRP is the key that unlocks it. You don't need to own millions. You just need enough to participate in a system most people still think is a rumor. That's why the question, will 1000 XRP change your life, is more profound than it seems. Because what you're really asking is, will you be early to the inevitable or late to the obvious? Most people will only understand what they missed after it happens. That's the irony of every major shift. Recognition always comes last. When Bitcoin was under $1, most laughed. When Amazon lost 90% in the dot, crash, most sold. When the internet looked like a fad, most ignored it. And when XRP sits quietly at the center of global liquidity, most will still be asking, when will it move? That's what separates those who benefit from change and those who simply watch it happen. The difference isn't luck. It's vision backed by patience. Between now and 2030, we're going to witness a slow but complete rewiring of how value travels across the world. Right now, payments are fragmented, trapped between systems, currencies, and intermediaries. But the future of money will look like the internet. Instant, borderless, interoperable. Ripple has already spent 10 years building the rails for that reality. Every corridor added, every central bank pilot tested, every regulatory win achieved brings the system closer to global scale. And at the center of that evolution sits XRP, silent, efficient, invisible to the average person, but essential to every transaction that needs real-time settlement. That's the difference between a token and an infrastructure asset. So, could XRP really change your life? It depends on how you define change. If you're thinking of an overnight lottery win, probably not. But if you understand how exponential adoption works, 1000 XRP could represent a small piece of a network that becomes as fundamental as the internet itself. Because once institutional liquidity moves through XRP, every coin becomes a fraction of that infrastructure's total utility. That's where price discovery truly begins. Not through hype, but through necessity. Imagine the moment when tokenized assets are everywhere. When your property title, stock shares, and even payroll flow through blockchain networks. Each of those systems will need a neutral bridge, something to settle value instantly between currencies and blockchains. That's where XRP steps in. And if that bridge carries even a fraction of global liquidity, say 1% of $150 trillion in annual payments, the math changes everything. Because liquidity demand doesn't just lift price, it redefines it. That's the point most people can't handle when the asset they laughed at becomes the backbone of modern finance. By 2030, it won't be about whether XRP goes to $10 or $100. It'll be about how much global value passes through the rails Ripple built, because the price will simply reflect the scale of its utility. And if you hold 1000 XRP in that world, you're not holding a coin. You're holding a digital share of the global settlement layer, the invisible highway every asset uses to move. That's the kind of ownership that does change lives quietly, permanently, structurally. But here's the hard truth. most people will sell before it happens. They'll get impatient, they'll follow fear, headlines, or doubt because conviction isn't free. It costs time, discipline, and belief in something that isn't yet obvious. That's why this journey isn't just financial, it's psychological. Holding XRP isn't just an investment, it's a mindset. It's the ability to stay calm while the system rearranges itself around a new standard of value. Let's look at how that rearrangement is unfolding. Ripple's acquisition of MACO expanded custody infrastructure for tokenized assets. Its ODL network now moves billions each quarter across Asia, Europe, Africa, and Latin America. Regulatory wins in the US and Europe are giving institutions the green light to engage with real utility tokens. Meanwhile, ISO 20022, the standard linking more than 10,000 banks, has gone live. That means every major financial institution now speaks the same digital language Ripple has used from the beginning. It's not that they'll all adopt XRP overnight, it's that the rails are now compatible with it. And compatibility is how revolutions start silently. The first time you'll truly feel it won't be when price spikes, it'll be when you realize everything is connected. When payments settle in seconds, when CBDCs trade effortlessly, when tokenized assets transfer between countries without a thought, at that point, XRP will no longer be an investment story, it will be financial infrastructure, and everyone who held early will already be part of the backbone. That's when 1,000 XRP could mean more than a number. It'll represent foresight, proof that you understood value before the world repriced it. Buffett once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." Your 10,000 XRP might be that seed. It doesn't look like much now, but trees never do when they're still underground. If you stay patient, let time and adoption do their work, and keep perspective when others lose it, that small seed could one day grow into the kind of opportunity people talk about decades later. Because real wealth doesn't appear suddenly. It compounds quietly while the world is distracted. So, will 1,000 XRP change your life? Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year. But if you understand where the financial system is heading toward instant tokenized borderless value, it just might, because history always rewards those who see structure before it becomes obvious. And right now, that structure is forming faster than most realize. If this opened your eyes to the bigger picture, subscribe to Crypto Equation, where we uncover the logic, data, and discipline behind crypto's biggest transformations. Because the future of finance isn't about hype, it's about understanding the system before it's built. And when that system finally turns on, 1,000 XRP may not just change your life. It may prove you saw the world before it changed. This is Crypto Equation, and I'll see you in the next